Board meeting in the Gun Barrel City Council chambers located at 1716 West Main Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas 75156 on Tuesday, January 8, 2019 at 5 p.m. Invocation, please rise.
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing everyone out tonight, and let us have a respectful and eventful and successful meeting tonight. Bless everyone that has showed up, and make sure that they stay safe on their way home from attending this meeting. Please help us do the right thing for the city and for the Economic Development Corp, and help us see that changes can be made if we all work together. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call from my right, please.
Nicholson here.
Damiano here.
Taylor here.
Butler here.
Wynn here.
Osborne here.
Citizens' presentations limited to 3 minutes. This item provides the opportunity for citizens to address the EDC Board of Directors on any matter or whether or not it's posted on the agenda. However, in accordance with the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Section 551.041, the EDC Board of Directors cannot discuss, deliberate, or take action on matters not listed on the agenda. At this time, the Board will receive citizen comments and, if necessary, may refer the matter to EDC staff for research, resolution, or referral to the EDC Board on a future agenda. Councilman Wyrick.
Thank you, Mr. President and board and all. I just wanted to bring up one thing to the board and all and everybody here, that Gun Barrels is doing a ribbon cutting this weekend, the 12th, over at the new fire station and all. And that's a major deal. It's one of the first new buildings that Gun Barrels built here in many, many years. And I really look forward to everybody and everyone that can attend that event of that ribbon cutting, because it's really great to see the city build something for our people around here for a change. And it's nice to see you board back here again. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rankin.
Thank you, President and the board. I'm here this evening because I wanted to offer an olive branch, because we've gone through such a stressful time. And I need all of you to know that there's not a one of you on this board that I dislike as a person. My problem has been with some of the activities and the structuring and votes and other items that all pertain to EDC. So I want to start by just saying I'm offering my olive branch. I'm here to you to help you in any way I can, and I hope we can move forward and make this the greatest year yet. The other thing I wanted to ask you about and ask you to do for me and for the council as well. In the past, when we've had to approve a financial statement, you all sit here and you've looked at it, supposedly, hopefully, you've gone over it quite often before you get to this meeting. What we had occur in the past year was that large items were not caught on your financial statements. And secondly, sometimes the council never received that financial statement until maybe 2 to 3 months later. And this has created an issue that we're going to have to go back and address. So my request to you for this year is to please look at your financials, pay attention, think about what has just been spent, what has just been bought. Should we have some items on this financial that's not there, or does it look incorrect? And bring those up whenever we have a meeting, and don't be afraid to. We're going to work as close as we can with Mr. Peterson, and I'm sure he's going to try his very best to have those out on a monthly basis. But you are the stewards of the money for the corporation, and I really ask you to be very diligent and very careful. So with that said, welcome aboard, and it's nice to have you all back.
Thank you. Were there olives on the branch, we could have a nice martini. Yeah. Item number 1, discuss and or take action to approve the EDC meeting minutes of October 9th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes, the EDC meeting minutes of October 9th, 2018.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Voting from my right, please.
Nicholson, approved.
Damiano approved.
Taylor, yes.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 2, discuss and or take action to approve the September, October, and November 2018 GBC EDC month-end financial reports. We have 3 months here to look at. If you would spread them out from right to left with September on your right. September was a very quiet month. We were on suspension at the time, I believe, the entire month. Our cash position at the end of the month was $1,360,720. Changed very little. Well, it went up by $23,000 during the month, and that's a combination of interest income from both deposits and from loans, and the net of sales tax receipts, which were $41,231 rounded. The only activity that we had on there of any significance was a $5,000 facade grant. No other large transactions at all during the month. Then if you take a look at October on the asset statements, under the heading checking and savings, a good thing to look at from month to month. You see October is $45,000, September 30, the previous month, was $65,000. Look at the change between the two categories, or between the two columns on each category of deposit account. The only real change there, other than interest accruals, was in the operating account. Went down by $20,000. I believe we had no major transactions during that time. Cash position is $1,343,908, down 17. We did have another facade improvement entry of $4,635. Going back to the front page, the asset page, notes receivable, the Michael Huskisson tip-top moving and storage loan is not yet amortizing. I think that's July before it starts, July. And all the other 5 loans are making payments. They're all on time and as agreed. We are going to add, in visiting with the CPA this afternoon, we're going to add a 3rd column, which will be the budget for the year, so that we can see where we stand there as far as approaching any budget items, and we're really not close on anything after 2 months. The only thing that's anywhere near significant is our legal expense, which jumps up in the next month, in November. So let's go to November. We did have some activity here on the asset side. If you look at the Prosperity sales tax revenue account, it dropped by $200,000. That money was moved to the Prosperity operating account. And you see the sales tax revenue account dropped from $460,000 to $298,000. It went down by $200,000, came back up $38,000 or $41,000, whatever it was, from sales tax receipts. I should have moved that money from the project account to the operating account. And so we'll be doing some switch back here very shortly to get that corrected and move the $200,000 back into the sales tax account. Looking down in the loans, you see Domino's was at $79,996. They subsequently paid off that loan in December. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Didn't have to charge it off. It wasn't even close. Other loans, Lakeland Medical, you'll notice the balance is the same. They have paid for 3 months. They're paid up through the end of March, so they're ahead of the program there. The reason we moved the $200,000 was to allow for funding of the W House accommodations, both loans and grants. We did have a facade improvement of $5,000 and no other transactions there. Any questions on financials?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the Hutchison loan?
Yes.
He has not started those payments yet, is that correct?
No, begins
Yes.
in July.
In July is when he starts. Okay.
1 year.
All right. Thank you for the clarification, Jim.
Yes. Anything else? Motion to accept the report.
A motion to accept the report.
I'll second.
Voting from my right.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 3, fill vacant officers' positions of president and treasurer. Motion to discuss, please.
Yeah, I'll second the motion to discuss if you need that.
Okay, consider it done.
Okay.
Currently, I have the vice president's position acting as both president and treasurer. Gary Damiano is the secretary. Does anyone care to volunteer to fill either of these positions? Very quiet up here.
Yeah.
Mr. Peterson, if we could.
Can I make a suggestion?
On the mic?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Somebody,
President and treasurer.
really, you're acting president.
I'm acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, seeing as how you're acting president, I think we probably ought to elect the president first and then discuss the remainder. Because if, for
DJ on the
a
mic.
number of reasons. So, in an effort, I'd probably like to nominate Jim Taylor as president.
Hold for just a second.
Okay.
We have people authorized to sign checks.
Yes, sir.
Our CPA will not issue a check when presented an invoice unless it's approved by an officer, correct?
Yes, sir.
We currently, in our bylaws, say that the secretary cannot be the treasurer as well.
Yes.
Correct.
The secretary cannot be the treasurer, and the president cannot be the secretary.
Okay. If the president can sign an invoice to be paid and also sign checks with the CPA signing their electronic signature, I'm good for about $100,000 a week for 4 weeks in a row. I see an audit and control problem there.
Okay?
And I'm curious your thoughts on having president and treasurer be the same.
There is absolutely no one on this board of directors who is better with financials than you are. You spent more time tonight making people understand where the financials are than anyone has since I've been here. I will do everything in my power to assist you with the president's role, make it as easy for you as I possibly can, where you can do both the president and the treasurer for a period of time. What I would like to see is perhaps an assistant treasurer. The treasurer of the Economic Development Corporation has more work to do than anyone. Jan knows. She looked at the email that Holland sent. We're trying to make that some easier. But when the treasurer leaves, we end up with a big goose egg in the office and not knowing how to run around and get stuff done because we don't have much of that under our supervision. So I'm very interested in somebody assisting in that treasurer's task for maybe a year or so and then hopefully stepping into that job.
Okay. Also, in either our bylaws or standing rules, feel the need to have a separation of who can authorize invoices and who can sign checks. I think that's a necessary audit step. Otherwise, Banco Nacional in Costa Rica is going to be hearing from me.
Excuse me, that has never been done. It's always been pretty much the same people signing checks as sign receipts. We certainly can make a distinction. We currently have you and Gary and Jim Nicholson who are on the signing card. Someone else could come in. It's about every other week. And sign the bills and send them off to the accountant.
Okay. On our last city council meeting, I don't think you were there, were you?
Oh, of course.
Were you there?
Sure.
We had either 3 or 4 candidates.
Yes.
Did you have any input with the city council as to which candidate you'd like to see elected?
Not much.
If the police chief wants to hire a patrol officer, does he get to interview him?
I do not know the answer to that question.
I would expect so. We had one of the candidates professed to have 30 to 40 years of finance and accounting experience. The city council knew that we had just lost our treasurer. I'm not feeling that kumbaya moment that we're looking for with the council working with you as far as who's here, what we do. I would encourage you to get greater contact with them on issues such as that.
I believe we have been asked to be more involved at this point, and not only me, but also the board themselves, maybe to the point of actually interviewing the candidates beforehand. So I think there will be some more work in that effort.
Kumbaya is coming.
Kumbaya.
It's coming. Good. Okay.
Village people.
Any other discussion before we open for nominations? Open for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Jim Taylor for president.
Second.
Voting from my right.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, abstain.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Mr. Taylor is the president.
Congratulations.
Treasurer, open for nominations.
Mr. President, I don't want to intervene, but we now have also a vacancy in the vice presidency.
I don't want all 3. That's a good one.
You can't take that. You can't.
It's
vote
not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
You can't do it. We'll
You will have my resignation as vice president promptly, sir.
No way to coast.
Nominations for treasurer.
I nominate Jim Taylor for treasurer.
No.
Second.
No second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Voting from my right.
No discussion.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, abstain.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 4, discuss and or take action on commercial office building lease at $750 per month. Mr. Peterson?
You have that lease in your packet. It's exactly the same as last year's lease. The city and the EDC put this together several years ago. There are no changes in it. It simply allows us to occupy our office and pay the city $750 a month.
You think we could get them down to 600?
I worked it real hard. I lost.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any discussion?
That's for a year, correct?
A month.
On the 750?
Yeah. That's where we have been. What was your question again?
That's a 1-year lease, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, let's start. I'll make a motion that we accept the lease on the commercial office building at $750 per month.
Second.
Voting from my right,
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 5, discuss and or take action on 8 acres of EDC property east of the park leased to the Gun Barrel City.
If you have driven by the park on the far east side, if you were going to Elder Dodge, right before you get to that little church on your left is 8 acres of property with soccer nets and that kind of stuff around it. That's our property, along with the lawnmower racetrack and a few other things. For several years, we have leased it to the city of Gun Barrel City for keeping the mowing of that property. And this lease is exactly the same as we have signed in the past. I would like one amendment. I would like us to write in there a 30-day get-out clause, that either one of us, 30 days in writing, can get out of the lease. And the reason for that is if all of a sudden we got a client who wanted to locate on that property, it would be nice if we could get out of it in a rather rapid period of time so we could put them there.
Any discussion?
I'll make a motion that we accept a lease on the 8 acres of EDC-owned property to the city with one stipulation, that there be a 30-day get-out clause on either end, meaning the lessor or the leasee.
Second.
Voting from my right,
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Osborne. Motion passes with the note that we will offer a 30-day get-out by either party. Item number 6, presentation by the Quilter Guild. I see a quilt.
It's a beautiful quilt. Thank you guys for having us and giving us this time. The Gun Barrel Quilters Guild has been in existence since 1992. And we have are very pleased to have, for the last 2 years, brought our quilt show back to Gun Barrel City. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and last year's show, some of the entities that benefited from our show are the Maybank and the Gun Barrel City Fire Departments, the Special Olympics, Tri-County Library, CASA. We've started a new program to supply the Gun Barrel Police Department with quilts and stuffed animals for them to make available to children in trauma situations that we're very proud of. And this year, for the first time, in lieu of a donation, we made a quilt for the Friends of the Animals that they were able to use to raise $1,500. We're very excited about. We do not charge admission to our show, unlike most quilt shows. They at least charge a nominal fee. But we feel like that it's our job to get quilting out into the public, and the best way to do that is to make it free for people to come in. We send letters of invitation to area assisted livings so that they know that their clienteles are welcome. We also have a 4-H and youth program. You will see quilts made by kids when you come to our quilt show. The last 2 years, we've had between 600 and 700 in attendance, and we have 15 vendor spaces, about half of which are local. The other half are out-of-town folks who need hotel rooms for the stay. Yes. We try to promote in every way possible the local businesses and the local restaurants. And we wanted to do a display with menus, but nobody wants to turn loose of those. So we just put out a display with the local restaurants so that our patrons know that good food's available close by. And we give away the money that we make, so we have to come back and ask for more.
When is the show this year?
So last weekend in April, always.
And do you get a percentage of your vendor sales or anything
No.
like that for the guild?
No.
Nothing. So you're all self-supporting.
Yes, sir.
One thing that we would love to see is, I believe you have everyone sign in when they come in.
It's not foolproof, but we do, yes. Although it bottlenecks our entrance, so we were thinking of just doing a head count as opposed to a sign-in sheet. It hasn't been decided for this year.
We would enjoy knowing how many people come from out of Gun Barrel City, non-residents.
Correct.
If you could have them sign in and just put down not home address, but home city.
If that information is good for you, we'll collect it.
It's great for us.
Okay.
We love to know how these things work. There are other types of shows that we would like to do, like a National Rifle Association event perhaps, or who knows what else. But with that kind of data, it helps us justify
Absolutely.
making expenditures.
Absolutely.
Super. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I appreciate the Guild show. Thank you all for doing that. Do you have financials on the past few years or even last year that you did this as to how that profits the city?
Unfortunately, I don't have a source for your usage information. I don't know.
Like, how much did you give to CASA? How much did you give to this?
Oh, well, as far as our contributions, yes, I can certainly supply you with
Yeah,
that.
if it would be helpful. I see someone shaking their head.
Yes.
It would be helpful for me to see what the financials, what kind of income are we bringing to the city? Y'all probably have that.
As far as what we
somewhere.
Contributed, certainly.
Yeah, if I could see some financial statements about that, I'd like to see that before I vote on this issue tonight.
Toby,
Can we do that? You don't have it tonight? Well, maybe we can table it until you
Okay.
can get
Certainly.
that.
I
So
don't
we've
think-
got an idea of exactly how much profit the city's getting from this.
They can't generate expenses by their visitors.
Hold on. What? Yeah, but can y'all give a financial update of how much money you actually capture during these shows and how much you pay Legacy Center, et cetera? And
oh, yeah.
yeah, and where all the disbursement, the itemized
Yes.
disbursement of where all
Yes.
that money goes.
Yes, certainly.
For my clarification.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, ma'am. Thank you for everything that you do for the community first. But when you do these shows, all the vendors, are they local?
It's about 50-50.
Is there any way we can get that into a 100% local so that it creates more jobs here for people?
The trade-off to that is they don't need your hotel rooms.
Gotcha.
But in order to get a cross-section of the things that people want to buy and look at, it historically has worked out about 50-50.
Okay, well, with that being said, how much publication do you put out, or
Right.
advertisement like Dallas, Tyler, Houston?
We send out flyers and postcards. We've got postcards to our target audience, to other quilt guilds, and to quilters and quilt stores, fabric stores, those kinds of things. And then shortly before the show, we put up flyers locally as far as the restaurants and those kinds of things. We do newspaper ads in Tyler, in Athens, and locally, and yard signs.
So you don't go nationwide. I'm being
No,
over.
no. We would love to, but we don't have the funds. We try to take advantage of every available, the co-op magazine and all of those forums that we can do that do not cost us anything.
All right.
And we do have a website and a Facebook page that is self-promoting. Go ahead, Beth.
We're also members of the Chamber of Commerce, and we attend their monthly meetings. We use their mail-out system where they send 500 flyers or whatever it is to the businesses locally that are members of the Chamber. Another thing that we offer is tote bags, shopping tote bags that we give out to everybody that comes in the door, and we announce at chamber meetings, and we drive around and try to encourage local businesses to give us business cards, flyers, whatever, and then we have our 4-H kids come in right before the quilt show and stuff these bags with information from the businesses. The bags with information from the businesses. So that's free of charge to all businesses. We would be happy to work with you all if you ever have a way through social media, email, whatever, to let the businesses know. We're happy to put out the information for you. So this is 600 to 700 tote bags that are going out.
Right. If you can get me a couple flyers that I can put up at I'm a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines, and I have an audience in Dallas alone of about 1,000 pilots and 1,000 flight attendants. And a lot of them live out here and in the area or commute in or whatever, but that is a plethora of advertisement.
How wonderful.
All right.
What else can I answer?
Now y'all rent from the Legacy Center, is
That's
that
correct. That's correct.
So that's from a private individual.
Yes.
So
We have a loan to them.
And then who do the vendors pay?
The vendors pay us a very nominal fee.
What fee is that?
It's $50 for a 10 by 10.
For how long? How long is the quilt show?
Friday and Saturday.
Okay, 2 days.
Yes.
Okay, $50 for 2 days?
Yes.
For a booth?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if y'all can capture the financials on that and where the money goes afterwards and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
that would be extremely helpful to me in making a decision. Is that something you can do?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, discuss and or take action on sponsorship for the Quilter Guild 2019 Annual Quilter Show in the amount of $2,500. Do we have a motion?
I'm going to make a motion that we take action on sponsorship for the Quilter Guide 2019 Annual Quilter Show in the amount of $2,500, with the stipulation that the Guild bring us the data that you've been asked by the 2 board members to get the various information, and then they'll be satisfied. I appreciate that you moved from Athens and came over here.
Absolutely.
And increased your business by 30%. So anyway, that's my motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Voting from my right.
Discussion.
Nicholson, yes.
Oh, wait a minute, we're discussing. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm puzzled. Jan, what information are you looking from them to give you?
Just a cumulative itemized financial of past shows and what money stays in the community in Gun Barrel City locally.
I guess that's where I'm confused. I'm trying to figure out they can't tell us who bought meals here. They can't tell us who.
Well, they can tell us what the vendors
who
paid,
stayed in
what they paid for rent.
Hang on one sec, Jan. Who stayed in hotels? Who bought gasoline? Who bought anything? I mean, am I off base? That you. Say that again, please.
I said we can provide the numbers on the show itself, not on the
But, I'm
peripheral.
just clarifying to make sure that everybody's on the same page as to what's the delivery is
Right.
expected.
Yes.
So when you can give us the numbers on the show, what numbers are you talking about?
We're talking about our charitable contributions and our income from vendors, our advertising costs, our whatever.
That's what I thought you were
Yes, sir.
saying.
Yeah.
Now, does that meet what you're saying?
And what you've paid the charities, et cetera?
Yes, ma'am.
You can provide all that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I
We're in
appreciate that.
agreement, I think.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, just clarifying.
Further discussion? Voting from my right.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Butler, yes.
Win, yes, with financial stipulations.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 8, presentation by the National Lawnmower Races Association. Greetings.
How are y'all this evening? Most of you know me. Some of you don't. I'm the resident lawnmower racer around town here. So I'm representing the United States Lawnmower Racing Association tonight. We've been having a national race here the last 3 years. Usually have it in April. It's a 2-day race. We normally bring in 35, 40 racers from out of state. Matter of fact, about 5 different states. We bring them in from Oklahoma, Louisiana. We've had them come as far as from Illinois, Oklahoma, like I said, Kansas, all the areas around the South here, bringing the lawnmower racing team. It's a 2-day event, and it's the new president of the association. His name is Kerry Evans. He usually comes down, and we try to have a 2-day national race event. And what that does, and usually what I do as far as bringing income into the city, we usually book a bank of rooms at the hotels around here, 15 to 20 rooms, so the racers and their families can stay in. A lot of them drive motorhomes and bring big trailers in and stay at the park during the race days, but they all do spend their money here in town. And the ladies do a lot of shopping, so we know. And I think, is it the average for a lady spending money here in town, $130 a night or something like that? You know, I think it's a little less for men because they don't need as much. So, but anyway, that's what I'm presenting to you. We're called the sod slingers of America, and they used to call. They're getting now to where they're calling the lawnmower racers the grass car of NASCAR. So there is 40 chapters all over the United States with the United States Racing Association. We have one here in Texas. It's called the Lone Star Mower Racing Association, which I just stepped down as president last year from. But we usually try to bring in, and the spectators, we haven't been able to get a full head count on how many spectators come because they're usually rolling in and out because it's a 2-day race and we have breaks. Usually, the most we've seen before, I think we've had like over 300 people there watching the races and things at the park. I don't know if y'all have seen our lawnmower racing track up here. We haven't started manicuring it yet, but normally we fix it up, and all the racers elected Gun Barrel City, I don't know how many years in a row, as the best track they've ever raced on. So we try to keep them coming here. And what we need, normally they charge $10,000 to hold a race here out of town from South Carolina. So, but us being associated with the Lone Star Mower Racing Association, they can cut our cost on it to where it's only $4,000 to have the race. What that pays for? That pays for your technical inspectors and things like that, because we're real safety oriented. It pays for your safety inspectors to come down and inspect the racing machines. It also pays for a start and finish lap counting system that they have that's all automatic and everything's all computerized. We don't race for any money or anything. Everyone races for trophies and bragging rights. Now, some of y'all that aren't familiar with it, I have a couple of here are some pictures and things like that. You can take a look at read a little bit. The history of the lawnmower racing started back in 1972 in Sussex, in Ireland, actually. Two Irishmen were sitting in a pub drinking, and they were talking about having some kind of sporting event that didn't cost very much money. And they looked out, and this man was mowing a cricket field over there, and they said, that's it. Everybody has a lawnmower in their garage or their shed. Let's race them. So that's how it got started back in 1972. The United States Lawnmower Racing Association was established in 1992, and they are the biggest mower racing association all over the United States. So we would like to have this race here. I'm not sure. We normally have it in April sometime, try to schedule in April, because it's a circuit that they travel through the United States. And they try to hit us like in April, the middle of April, around the 14th or 15th of April. But I see this year we're having some kind of big sporting event, which is great because that draws in more people and also brings in more tax money for the city. But basically, that's it. We're looking for a sponsorship of $4,000 to hold this national race again this year.
Is the city providing you some sponsorship money as well outside the EDC?
No.
I thought we had something from the hotel fund.
No.
No?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned some kind of sporting event. The way it's reading here is a tailgate thing?
A tailgate, yeah, that's what they had been brought up to me.
We may have gotten a little ahead of ourselves. That event is not planned yet. But when I talked to Mickey Rainey at the city, they are planning an event in April. We would like to meld these two events together.
Okay. Okay.
What is the advantage of melding them together?
Sorry?
What is the advantage of bringing them together at the same weekend?
Bringing more people for both events. So the sporting event, the way I understand it, and please don't say that's what it's going to be. Mickey and I have had one conversation, but trying to use all the facilities at the park for 3-on-3 basketball, horseshoe pitching, tennis, softball, all those kind of things for a couple of days at the park. And during that time, we'd also have the lawnmower races.
I would also like to ask, like I asked the Quilters Guild, are your vendors local vendors, or are you bringing people in from out of town?
We normally don't have any vendors out here, and if we do have somebody local, I usually let the auto parts stores know and things like that. O'Reilly sponsors a lot for us. Buy Low Auto in 7 Point, he's one of our sponsors. He sponsors a few things, give away prizes and things like that at the track for the spectators.
Are you getting any money from those sponsors?
No, ma'am.
Have you asked them?
We haven't asked them. We just ask them for giveaway prizes and things like that.
Okay, so no financial.
No financial.
Okay.
But they're willing to help. They usually give gift cards for $25. O'Reilly's does to different, that we can give away and things like that. So.
And y'all have not held this in Gun Barrel before? You have? Okay.
For 5 years, and we race every year in Gun Barrel, more than one race.
Can you get us a proposal of exactly what you want to do and where the vendors are going to come from, how this is going to benefit the city financially? Do you have a proposal?
Sorry?
Have you submitted a proposal to us?
Sponsors that we have that sponsor the United States Lawnmower Racing Association is Gold Eagle, which is a chemical company that furnishes automotive chemicals. There's also Staybill, which is another chemical company that offers products for vehicles, motor vehicles, marine, and things like that. Those are two of the major sponsors that sponsor the United States Racing Association. Down here, I don't really have anybody that's into the small engine thing. So I really don't have any real sponsors here that come out and set up vendors or anything like that. Every once in a while we've mixed it in with a car show and things like that. The car show usually overrides the lawnmower racing because they don't like the noise.
And again, your advertising, how far is your reach?
The advertising goes national. The United States Lawnmower Racing Association, part of this $4,000, they use that for the advertising and promoting to the radio stations. They usually make up flyers, and we post flyers everywhere all over the city. And all we do is put it out usually on Facebook, on the media. That's where we start drawing the crowds from and things like that also.
I'd like to see a written proposal to the board so that we have more information to determine that the request for the $4,000. Would that be something you'd be willing to do?
I can email one to Lee tomorrow.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion?
Now, how many states did you say you draw from, Mike?
I'm sorry, Gary.
How many states did you say you draw from?
Well, we draw from Illinois, we draw from South Carolina. Last year we had Florida, we had Louisiana, we had Kansas, Oklahoma. So about 7 different states they come from. It all depends on how the weather is and the racers that are coming from that far.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 9, discuss and/or take action on sponsorship for the 2019 National Lawnmower Races in conjunction with the GBC Cities Tailgate Sporting Event in the amount of $4,000. Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I have a thought here that I'd like to bring up.
Yes.
Is that the sponsorship for this event of $4,000 on the EDC, why would we not want the city to do something in conjunction with this out of their motel funds and say we do too, they do too?
I somehow had the idea in my mind that the city was doing something for the lawnmower races from the motel fund, and I'm mistaken, I think, from the last city council meeting. Was there discussion?
Mr. President, if I could, we have discussed this a variety of times. The city of Gun Barrel has several other events that they put on with the hotel and motel tax, and they do not ask us to participate in them. So this is one that we have participated in by ourselves.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion and a second?
Yeah.
Yes?
Not yet. That was the presentation. I don't think, he didn't make a motion.
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to table it until we can get, he's willing to give us a proposal of what exactly they're going to do. Let's table it.
Okay. Then if that's how you feel, what we need is a motion saying why you want to table it.
I make a motion to table it, to table
Why?
the National Lawnmower Races in conjunction with the GBC Cities Tailgate Sporting Event in the amount of $4,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Voting on the motion to table, from my right, please.
Discussion.
Nicholson, yes.
You got to have discussion.
Oh, sorry. Discussion. Discussion on the motion to table.
What I didn't hear in the motion, if you care to change it, as to why we're tabling it? What are we waiting for? What are we expecting?
I think I just said until we can get the proposal that he's agreed to give us.
Is that in your motion?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I believe I said that.
Not in the motion you did. No. I'm sorry. You voted?
Further discussion. Voting from my right. Motion to table.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, no.
Taylor, no.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion is tabled. Item number 10, discuss and take action on resolution to create project committees. Do we have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion that we create project committees.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Discussion.
Could we get the Executive Director to explain a little bit about what the project committee, the intent is, even though we have it in writing?
There are a wide variety of things we need to do with projects. One of the things we started on in our workshop was building a profile of a good project. How many jobs do we need to create? How much sales tax do we need to generate? What kind of a benefit is it to the city of Gun Barrel? Or is it a retention or expansion project? And so I have wanted, since beginning my job here, to have a very small projects committee that would sit down with me and walk through these projects and discuss them and have more than just one idea about how it maybe should go forward. we probably have at the current time 35 to 40 projects, from facades to boots to business to low interest loans, that are beginning to work their way through the system. And I would really appreciate some help from the board to do those things.
Okay. Yeah, Lee, I think it's a great idea. Let me ask you one other additional question now. Is a concept also a project?
Excuse me?
Is a concept also a project?
I think we could discuss whatever.
Okay.
I would like to see some other committees as we go down the road, perhaps those to review our applications that we all know need to be reviewed, a finance committee to assist the treasurer not only in monthly finances but also in putting the budget together, to try and get the board more involved in this organization so we can make it work better.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I think in initial discussions, we're thinking about a committee for facade improvements, grants, boots to business, redevelopment, and maybe one or two others. They would have at least 2 people on each committee with staggered terms expiring right now, either 2019 or 20. The reason for that is to get some continuity on the programs as members of the board turn over. And as well, part of the initial responsibility of each committee would be to review all the documents that are used, everything from the application to the marketing material that's used, the structure of the program, and so forth, to get it right. On Boots to Business, we've had a problem with just one of those 2 grants. On the facade improvement program, which Jim has done so much with, Jim Osborne, I think there's been 1 out of about 15 last year that might have had some question to it. But we just need to make sure that we've got multiple people that understand the ins and outs of each program, and to ensure that we've got continuity from year to year going forward. So we can have some discussions later as far as who is on which committee. We don't need to do that in session. Anything else on discussion? Entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we establish a projects committee.
Second.
Voting from my right.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Butler, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes on resolution to create project committees. Item number 7, discuss and/or take action on the confidentiality agreement. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we adopt or pass the confidentiality agreement as proposed, and for all members of the board to sign.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Peterson.
So the life and death of an economic development corporation is its board of directors. It is absolutely impossible for this corporation to do anything without a strong and dedicated board who are dedicated to the corporation and to the city. The base that everything comes from for economic development is the board of directors. So we must build a very solid foundation with the board of directors. These 3 things that we're asking you to do is a start on building that foundation. We also are going to review the bylaws, we're going to review the standing rules, and hopefully bring some little stronger governance to this board of directors. And then we need to move, and there were a couple of councilmen got up here tonight and extended an olive branch. We need to move to the council and the mayor and build that trust over time where our financials are acceptable, where the projects we do are acceptable, that we follow the law, so that all of us are working together for the same end. That simply has to be done. We can't go anywhere without that. So these 3 things are just taken off the Texas Economic Development Council's website to build a base of governance for this board.
If I can expand a little bit on the need for confidentiality, we come into the possession of a lot of information in the process of looking at loans and grant opportunities, even more so loans than grants. And we're talking about personal financial statements, income tax returns, business financial statements, and it's a case where loose lips sink ships and can be really destructive as far as our ability to recognize and accomplish opportunities by having people find out that we've been talking about their personal information outside of our regular meetings or closed meetings. It can also get very sticky when there are negotiations in process, be it for real estate or acquisitions or whatever. And we just have to recognize when we have that confidential information, it has to be kept very confidential. Anything else?
I have a discussion on that. Wouldn't this be covered in the Code of Ethics rather than by confidentiality agreement? Couldn't we cover that in the Code of Ethics?
You can put it in both places. I would say it is indeed ethical.
Yeah, there are crossovers.
I'd like to see it just in the Code of Ethics,
If I might a
incorporated
moment,
into
the
that.
confidentiality agreement is completely separate from any other agreement. It absolutely stipulates that the things you hear at this board will be kept to yourself. The Code of Ethics goes through a wide variety of things discussing how we should operate, but the confidentiality agreement is extremely important by itself.
Anything further?
I'm going to need time to have my personal lawyer review the confidentiality agreement before I can sign it. So I need time on that.
Understand. Anything else?
Yeah. I think everybody's had this for a couple of days, have they not?
Passed out last Thursday at the workshop.
Okay.
Anything further? Voting from my right?
So are we voting to table it or what?
No.
No, we're voting on it.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Feller, yes.
Wynn, no.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 12, discuss and or take action on Code of Ethics. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion that we pass and accept the Code of Ethics as presented for all board members to sign.
Second.
Discussion. No discussion? Voting from my right.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Feller, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 13, discuss and or take action on EDC volunteer board member job description.
Maybe if I could, I don't want to drag this out, but very often as new board members come on the board, they say, what is our job? And I think this piece of paper explains that better than anything I've ever seen. And again, it came off the Texas Economic Development Council's website.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the board of director, EDC board of directors job description. Thank you.
Second.
Voting from my right.
Nicholson, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Feller, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes. Item number 14, discuss Creek Boys Meat Market, Joshua Browning. Mr. Peterson.
I do have a copy of the three agreements for you to sign. If you're comfortable, I know Jan wants to run by attorney. She's taking a look. But if you're comfortable with these, we'd like to get them signed and get them in your files if that's possible. The other two, perhaps Jan without the confidentiality.
Isn't this the same that was in our packet?
They are in your packet, but I made a special copy so you have them to sign tonight.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There are times when we get to do fun and interesting things like lawnmower races and quilt guild, and We work very, very hard to do projects, and sometimes we work very, very hard and it doesn't work. We funded a project last April called Creek Boys Meat Market. There have been a variety of things that have occurred with that project, but what has not occurred is any action toward making a Creek Boys Meat Market. We provided a $50,000 Boots to Business grant, and it has just been a complete failure of anything occurring on that project. We stayed very close to Mr. Browning until about August. He had to go for some surgery, and I've not heard from him or seen him since. So, at the advice of a variety of people, I packed up the entire folder and sent it to our attorney, Jeff Moore, who is an economic development attorney. And there are some places on the form that are not completely filled out. That makes him a little nervous. I guess what I would like to see is the ability for us to hire a local attorney who's familiar with tort to follow up on this project.
The agreement we have, the performance agreement, is in fact a contract.
Yes, sir.
Has all the elements of a contract in it, which I believe makes it subject to tort law as opposed to felonies and criminal law.
Yes, sir.
I think Ramey Shackelford might be well qualified to handle this locally. I have reservations about loading up our Dallas EDC attorney with this kind of stuff. Does anyone else have some thoughts on that, or other attorneys that might be suitable?
I'm good with Ramey.
Say again?
I'm good with Ramey Shackelford.
Anyone else have thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, your thoughts are good. I think this is not Jeff Moore's specialty, this type of law,
Right.
and I think we need somebody from the outside. As far as I know, Lee has the ability and the authority to go find somebody, even if it means talking to Jeff and say, who can you recommend? So, fine by me. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we don't need a $500 an hour Dallas boy.
It's more like 1,000 now.
Ramey.
And we'll keep it less than that.
Yeah. Could you get us the figures on what he would charge?
I will ask, excuse me, in our bylaws, it asks that we know what attorney's costs will be before we enter into them, so I will
with Raymond?
ask. We are currently paying Jeff, I think, $175 per hour, and so it will be somewhere in that area, I would imagine.
And let me ask you this, Lee. We gave him $50,000 when?
In April, I think I have the contract.
April of last year?
April of 2018. The project was approved in October of 2017.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we seen any receipts or anything that he's done with the money?
We have lots of receipts. The receipts were not accepted by the Board of Directors. Many of the receipts are handwritten. Mr. Browning, being a kind of a smart buyer, went and bought a lot of equipment, air conditioners, restaurant equipment on the internet, and drove to Alabama and picked it up, and many of those receipts just didn't look good enough for the Board of Directors. So we do have lots of receipts. We have lots of pictures of the equipment, but we don't have anything going on at the building.
And what kind of receipts were required of him when he got that $50,000? I mean, other than, I know he sent handwritten receipts, but...
The receipts must be accepted by the board.
And handwritten or not.
Well...
So we don't know if he bought equipment or not, really.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We did.
In actuality, I've seen the equipment, I know it's there, but the receipts just were not what we would like to have in a project.
Coupled with the fact he hasn't opened up yet.
Well, not only is it not opened up, he hasn't even begun.
Has he used all of the money, all of the 50?
I don't know the answer to that, Jan. I know part of it was used for the down payment on the building, part of it was used for equipment, and how much of that actually is what it is, I don't know. But my guess would be yes.
Can we
The
find
equipment in the building probably took the $50,000. And no, there's no way for us to find out the answer to that question, other than adding up the receipts which we have, which the board wouldn't accept. So,
Well, Ramey would need to know, the attorney would need to know what all he spent.
and the attorney has.
And if there's anything left. I mean,
attorney,
that's 50,000.
The attorney has everything we have in the file, Jan.
I'm talking about Ramey Shackelford.
Yeah,
if we go with
we'll
him.
provide him the entire file.
Okay. You've got all that information
Yes, ma'am.
in the file
Yes,
about what he's supposedly bought
Yes, ma'am.
and how much of that 50,000 he spent, or if he
Well,
has any left?
we have receipts for the equipment he bought, and we have receipts for the down payment on the building.
Our best recourse is probably going to be a judgment on the real estate if we can get it, and confiscation and resale of what equipment that we can find if we can find
That's
it.
what I was getting at.
Mr. Browning is not findable at present. No one knows where he is.
Wasn't there somebody
He's in
else
the
on
wind.
that project as well?
Excuse me?
Was there another person working with him on that project, Lee?
Before I got here, Jan, there was a gentleman by the name of Corey Flores who was going to be a partner. I don't think that partnership ever developed.
Yeah, the only one that signed the agreement is
Yes.
Josh.
It's Josh. Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There was discussion about a partnership. I just don't know if it gelled, and I don't know. By the time I got here in January, it was just Josh.
Anything further? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned at 6:08.
Lee?